Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 0 of the next Let's Play that we're going to be doing on weekends for the hour-long episodes. Now, you're probably thinking, Kima, why you being a stupid head? Let's Play numbers don't start with 0, they start with 1. Are you a stupid? Are you an idiot? Well, I am, but that's not the point. We're doing an episode 0 because there is a lot to unpack. And a lot that I would want to explain in the first half hour to an hour, but I will be constantly be interrupted by story dialogue because this game is voice acted. I don't want to be interrupted by all of that, so I figured I'd just go ahead and do it here, get it all out of the way. Anything that we unlock later on, I can explain later on, as we progress and as we unlock stuff. So this is just going to be the basics of what the base layout is. But the next game that we're going to be doing is called Pacific Drive. I am playing the deluxe edition on PS5. It is a game from 2024 by Maximum Games. And it's actually a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. I saw maybe 5 minutes of it. I'll explain all this in episode 1. But I saw maybe 5 minutes of it and immediately fell in love. But there is a lot to unpack. Pacific Drive is a survival roguelike where you take care of a car. The whole background, the whole lore is basically in the the Olympic Peninsula. There is this place called the Olympic Exclusion Zone, which happened from an instability breakout from gamma radiation, I think. From a company that was creating limb technology. One of the heads of this place was Dr. Ophelia Turner. She is one of the people that we meet on our journey. And she, along with 2 others, are trying to get you out of the exclusion zone. Or at the very least, try and break your bond with a thing called a remnant. Remnants are items that are in the exclusion zone within the instability that will leach into your mind and pretty much make you go crazy for it. Which does not sound fun. But yeah. So as we're going along our journey, we are collecting materials. We're collecting energies to unlock upgrades, and we're uncovering some conspiracy theory kinds of stuff. Within the instability, things called anomalies also were created, which are basically like your monsters. There's no way to fight against these. You just basically have to avoid them. But we're going to get started at HQ. This is Oppie's Auto Shop. She reluctantly lent it to us after Tobias, another one of the characters, basically forced her to give it to us, otherwise threatened with maybe about 10 years of self-written poetry. But as we're flying in, we're going to start with the friendly dumpster. This is your one-stop shop to getting extra materials. You are actually required for the tutorial mission to check the friendly dumpster because you need to get a thing called a scrapper, which is one of your tools, which lets you get which basically lets you get most of your materials. But we'll talk about that in the main playthrough. The friendly dumpster can give you various things. It is, I guess you could also see it as a way to not be in a stalemate, if that makes sense. Because you are able to run out of materials, you are able to lose everything. So the friendly dumpster is there as a failsafe in case you do lose everything. It can give you tools, it can give you flares, it can give you materials, it can give you health packs. I think it gave me a whole car part before. So it's RNG of what you get. Sorry, I have a lot of burps. It is RNG of what you get, but most of the stuff is useful. Next, we're going to fly on over to this first aid station. It's your basic first aid. You interact with it, and all of the wounds that you got in the past are instantly healed, and you're all better, and you feel nice and great, like eating grandma's soup on Thanksgiving morning. Next to it is the paint shelf. There is something else that's supposed to happen in between these two, where all those boxes are, but we'll talk about that later. This is the paint shelf. You basically store your paints and your decorations for your car in there. Next to that is the fuel pump. It's a fuel pump. It's where you get gas for free. Gotta love it. We're going to skip the car for a second. We're going to go straight to the diagnostics board right next to the exit to the garage. This diagnostics board will show you various things. It'll show you what car parts are on the car, as well as how they're doing. The color of each part indicates of how damaged it is. If it is in the blue, then it's good. If it's in the yellow, it's meh. And if it's in the red, it's almost done for. If it is flashing red, then it is in critical condition. If that goes into critical condition, that means it basically doesn't protect your car at all, and it is almost completely broken, as in shattering. The board will also indicate with a little yellow dot if a car part has a status on it. Statuses can be like a wobbly tire or a flat tire. It can be a cracked window. It can be a shorted spark plug on your engine. Stuff like that. And incidental stuff that can happen on a drive. It'll also show with these arrows that you see right now, it'll show if a door is open. So we'll see in a little bit, there is a similar board inside the car. But this is basically just a one glimpse, like, okay, this is what I need. A, B, and C, yada, yada, yada. Next to where the car parts are displayed, you will see 3 bars. One is for the overall health of the car, overall defense. The next one is overall battery power, and then the next one is overall gas power. I guess not gas power, but your fuel gauge. Shows how much gas you got. And then up under those 3 is a little indicator for quirks. We'll talk about quirks in a minute, but if it is blue, your car is fine. If it is yellow, your car has a quirk, and you've got to fix it or live with it. All right, so now we're gonna head into the car. We're gonna start in the back. So these 2 are the trunk storage and the craft mat. You install these before your first mission. You can upgrade your stores as the story goes on. You get more materials. This is basically where you store stuff. And then the craft mat is your on-the-go crafting station where you can make basic tools or basic parts should you need to. But we're gonna fly on in. So we're gonna start at the dashboard right behind the steering wheel. What you're gonna be seeing for most of the game is what's to come right now. So we're going to start on the left. First is the ability screen. There are various parts in the game that will give you various abilities. The first one you unlock is called the handbrake. This little thing goes onto your brake pads into like the, what is it called? The chassis of the car. But whenever you obtain an ability from a part such as that, you come to this screen, you equip it, and then from then on, you can use battery power to activate the ability. It doesn't have to be just the handbrake, though. You can also get a thing called a limb pulse emitter, which is very handy. You can get another one called the arc dock that you get through story progression. There's another one called the, what is it? The anti-grav emitter, I think, which basically protects you from a fall. If you hold it, it'll make your car go upright while you're falling. It'll make it fall slower as well. So, a lot of these abilities are very nice. Connected to the ability screen is your battery meter. The red number is the current amount of battery that you have. The yellow number is the maximum amount of battery you can have. And then the blue is just whether or not your headlights are on. Um, the yellow number never changes unless you install a battery to the car, but the red number will constantly change depending on whether you have your headlights on, whether or not you use an ability, yada, yada, yada. There are also 2 arrows next to the red number. This indicate whether or not your battery is charging or depleting. And then there is a bar right next to that gives you, it's kind of like the diagnostics board where it'll raise and lower depending on how much you've got. So next to those are all your signal lights. Just like in a basic car, you got your check engine light, your flat tire light, your defense light, your instability storm light, your parking light. All of your lights are going to be there. I don't know what all of them mean, to be honest. I know what a couple of them mean, but not all of them. Of course, there are some that I've only seen maybe once or twice. So these you kind of got to learn on your own of what they mean. I generally don't really pay attention to any of them except except the gas one whenever that comes up. But even then, you've got the speedometer and the gas gauge right below it. So there's really no point. Next to that, I believe it's called a radiometer. Maybe a radiometer. I'm not sure. This basically shows you how much radiation is around the car at any given moment. Because yes, while you're driving, you will find radiation. If it is in the blue and it is kind of steady, then there's no radiation. If it starts to get a little wobbly, you've got a little bit. Goes to yellow, there's a good bit, and then red is just like, get the heck out of there. Next to that is basically a tiny diagnostic screen, but it's the status screen. It'll show you how your car parts are doing. It'll show you whether or not, it'll show you those little yellow dots I was talking about, whether or not you got a flat tire or whatever. It'll also show you your overall health. So it's good to keep an eye on this one. But next to that is the ARC device. As Dr. Ophelia Turner herself said, consider it the lifeblood of your operation. And if you need to, consider it the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, or I think is what she said. I don't know what she said. Something religious. But the ARC device is your go-to thing throughout the entire game. This is a thing you're going to be looking at. It is your map, and it is your ticket out of junctions, which we will talk about later. But the map will show various buildings. It'll show where things called anchors are. Anchors are your way out, and how we get a thing called Kalim energy, which is used for something later. We'll talk about it later. It'll show you where zone receivers are, which is an audio file you can get. And it'll show you a general topographic map. I had to think of that word for a second. A general topographic map of the immediate area. It'll also show you major roads. So if the road is a straight line, then it is a paved road. If it is a jagged line, it is a dirt road. The map will also show you your current objective as a blue diamond. And I think that's all it really does. You can set waypoints on it, which is pretty cool, and that shows up in your vision. But yeah. Around the ARC device map is your storm warning. There are 4 lights up underneath the map. I've actually got the game pulled up right here. Let me look at it. You got 4 lights up under it. You got stable, what I believe is storm warning, and then danger. I don't know what one of them is. But that level progresses as you drive through a junction. The little ball thing is just how much danger you're in, how much your heart should be beating, But yeah. That indicates whether or not a instability storm is coming while you're out on a drive. Below that is just a word thing. It says drive. Whenever you gotta drive. Up under that as well is your KLM number. It'll show you the exact number of KLM that you've got in order to escape. To the right of the map is your energy bar. As you're progressing through the junctions, you're going to need more and more KLM in order to exit. So the little bar with the switch, it'll move as you progress. It'll show you how much you need, and then the bar will also raise for as much KLM as you've got. So, this thing is also what takes anchors and turns them into KLM energy. This is the thing that you got to bring the anchors to while you're out on a drive. But anyway, enough of the car. We're gonna fly on out. We're gonna check out this little table. This is just a battery charger. If you're on that little plate that you see the car on right now, you can flip that switch. It'll immediately charge most of your battery. If you get extensions to your battery, it won't fill it all the way unless you get an upgraded battery charger. But with a basic battery, it will charge it all the way. Next to that is the Tinker Station. This is what I was talking about with the quirks. Whenever you start getting quirks, you go to the Tinker Station and you can diagnose what kind of quirk it is. This menu is a little confusing for first timers. But essentially it's how do I explain it? It's essentially whenever thing does this does that. Does that make sense? So let's say you would put when steering wheel is turning or steering wheel keeps turning, then horn honks or shifter toggles or something like that, you know. And then you can guess. And if you get it right, then you can go to the fixes screen and put in a thing to fix it. It'll tell you what you need. It's usually some kind of repair kit, a light replacement kit, mechanics kit, yada yada. But you can expend one of these to fix the quirk and get rid of it. Some of these quirks can be very annoying and you want to get rid of them immediately. Some of them can actually be helpful. There was one time where whenever the car was driving fast, the doors would close. So whenever I got into an instability storm and I was like, oh shoot, I gotta go, but I don't have time to go around and close the door and then close the trunk and then close this door and then get in the car, I just get in the car and I drive, and once I get fast enough, everything closes. It was amazing. Beautiful even. That's only ever happened once. But, yep, this is where you go to fix them though. We're going to fly backwards, and this is the workbench. This is your general, HQ crafting area. I think this is technically a tier 2 bench. Maybe a tier 1 bench. No, it's tier 2. A tier 2 bench. So you can craft more advanced stuff than the craft mat. And then you can also unlock a advanced workbench to be able to craft even more advanced stuff. But that'll be for later. We're going to fly on over to the projector screen. This is where you're going to plan your routes. This is also where the roguelike bit comes in. Because of the instability, and because of it jumbling everything up like beef in a blender, as Tobias says, that is their way of canonizing the roguelike element. Every single time you go out and come back from a run, the place randomizes. So the route planner can tell you what to expect. If you select a route, you can make that your destination. And then from the auto shop all the way to your destination, the route planner will tell you what the junction conditions are. It'll tell you how much time you've got before the storm comes. It'll tell you what anomalies, what kinds of, or how much of a certain resource there is. It'll tell you what kind of anchor there is. It's got all kinds of information on it. But this is also I feel like this is also a good opportunity while we're looking at this map to talk about the zones and the junctions. Another way to canonize the roguelike element, and with it being harder, with it getting harder as you progress. The area is divided into zones. You've got the outer zone, the mid zone, and the deep zone. Of course, we start in the outer zone. This is tutorial, baseline, getting your feet wet area, you know? Eventually you move into the mid zone. It is a story mission to go into the mid zone. And that's like, you know what you're doing, but they're throwing some new stuff your way. And then eventually you go into the deep zone. The deep zone is crazy. Let me tell you, it's nuts. But yeah, the deep zone is endgame. Within these zones are junctions. These junctions are essentially your levels. Like a room in Hades. Junctions can have various conditions. It can have various anomalies within them. It can have, they generally have the same kind of like level of materials or level of housing or whatever. But those can change every now and then too. If a junction is surrounded by an orange kind of wavy thingy-majig, then it's got extreme conditions, which generally means a swift storm. Swift storm means that you've got little amount of time to get through before the instability comes. There's also another one called perpetual stability, where the instability storm will not follow you. Those are generally used for story missions. But yeah, there are many of conditions that we could go over. I have notes on each and every single one of them, but I am not going to go over that right now. I feel like that's going to be something we're all going to have to learn together. So, as you explore the map, you have to leave from a junction in order to expand the map from that junction. So if we go to this E junction that we see here, once we escape from that junction, we're going to have another path open up for us. This bit can open up 2 more paths, which opens up to 2 more on each, and then they just kind of branch out like a butterfly effect. So, and eventually they all converge into one area in the deep zone, or 2 areas in the deep zone. So, but we're gonna leave that alone for a minute. We're gonna fly on back, and we're gonna head to the fabrication station. This is where you do all your upgrades. This is where you unlock various car parts, various tools, various utilities for the garage. This is where you get new crafting recipes, all that kind of stuff. So, this fabrication station uses Kalim. There are 3 kinds of Kalim energy. There is stable, unstable, and corrupted. We start with stable, we move to unstable, and then we go to corrupted. Each zone has their own kind of energy. Of course, the outer zone has stable, and the respectives come after. But these crafting recipes also need requirements. They have prerequisites, so you have to research something in order to research another thing. There are a couple that require the advanced workbench to be researched first. There are a couple that require you to scan a certain anomaly first. Most of them only really require you to have certain materials and enough Kalim energy in order to make them. But we'll deal with that later. We're going to pass on by this pneumatic tube because that's just one story mission. And we're going to go to the Vargas Vac. This thing is a savior in the update. In the, what is it? The dives, drive-ins, and something update. My lord, this thing is a savior. There is an upgrade in the fabrication station that lets it automatically pack everything into a trunk, like a transfer trunk, a briefcase, whenever you vacuum everything up. Because any material, any car part, anything that is left that you're able to pick up, that is left on the ground, gets vacuumed up by this thing. It'll even vacuum up the transfer trunk. But it'll give you a little warning of whether or not there's something still in. And if you leave it for too long, or if you leave out to go on a run, it'll delete everything that is stuck in there. But yeah, there was an update at a certain point that added a upgraded Vargas Vac that will automatically store everything in a transfer trunk whenever it spits it out. My lord, it is handy. I think we immediately gun for it whenever we start the playthrough. But yeah, that's all that I've got written down to talk about. I hope it all made sense. I had to do this off the top of my head. I did not have a script prepared. But yeah. Everything else we will talk about within the Let's Play itself. There's going to be a section in each episode where I'm going to step away within the episode, and I'm going to come back and post editing, and we're going to talk about all the anomalies that we came across. Later ones are going to talk about audio files that we come across, so we can go over them. It's basically a discussion bit. So I think that's about it. As far as the playthrough itself, we're only going to be doing story missions. There's one episode where we just do gathering materials, but that's just to show how things will basically be ran. Immediately after that, we go for another story mission. But yeah, I'm only going to be doing story missions in this playthrough, so that way we're not here for 50 hours trying to get a whole bunch of stuff, you know. But I hope y'all enjoy it. I feel like this is going to be, in a weird way to word it, I feel like this is going to be a short, long playthrough. Like, they're going to be hour-and-a-half episodes, but there's only going to be like maybe 10 episodes, you know? Because the story is not very long. It's just, a lot of it is filler for getting materials and stuff. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Thank you guys for watching this one. I hope it wasn't too long. I hope I wasn't too rambly. But make sure to take care of yourselves. Drink plenty of water. Get plenty of rest. Eat something if you haven't already. I hope you enjoy the playthrough. I'm already 6 episodes in after recording this. And it has taken a lot of time to edit these videos. I'm not going to lie. So I genuinely hope you guys are enjoying them. Or will enjoy them. But I will see you guys in the official Pacific Drive playthrough.
Sulfur and smoke glows through the snow. It smells like money.
Welcome to the Olympic Peninsula. Enjoy your time here on this beautiful corner of the world. You'll find temperate rainforests, natural lakes and rivers, and endless parklands to explore. Sleep beneath the stars, hike along our beautiful coastline, and enjoy the magic of the wilderness.
Say nothing if I can turn the power on. cool, thanks. I was thinking to myself, why are you eating the aluminum foil? It's like a conga line. Look at him go. We gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go like right now. We need to go like yesterday. This is not good.